Well, happy Lent. How's it going so far? We're in the 4th week of Lent now. I asked the kids how many have kept their Lenten resolutions, and a number of the hands went up. They asked how many of you are lying, and a number of the hands went up. It's not unusual to fall a little bit short of where we want to be with our Lenten resolutions. No matter what we choose to do, we have to do it with prayer. We have to do it with God's walking beside us. We have to do it because we want to not only help God understand us better and love us more, we need to feel that. Feel the love of God He wants us to have. And that's what Lent's all about. That's what's a happy Lent, a joyful season. And I hope yours is going well. I talked about prayer, fasting, and almsgiving in the back, and I want to revisit fasting a little bit. It's very easy for us, believe it or not, to give stuff up. It's easy to decide we're not going to eat a certain food, play a certain game, watch TV. These are sacrifices, don't get me wrong, we're so used to it, but they're not that hard either. To give up particular food and all that, I told the kids for Lent, I was giving up fish and mushrooms. They kind of screwed up their brains, and somebody raised their hand and said, "You don't like fish and mushrooms." I said, "You're right, and I have a perfect Lent." You can't do that. You have to really give up something that is endearing to you so you can show God that He's more important in your life than this is. It's an act of sacrifice. But in Isaiah chapter 58, verse 5, it says, "Is this the manner of fasting I wish, of keeping a day of penance? That a man should bow his head like a reed and lie in sackcloth and ashes? Do you call this a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord?" Which that's the way everybody had a fast back then. "This rather is the fasting I wish, releasing those bound unjustly, untying the thongs of the yoke, setting free the oppressed, breaking every yoke, sharing your bread with the hungry, sheltering the homeless and the oppressed, clothing the naked when you see them, and not turning your back on your own." That is a lot tougher fast. It really is. Now, we do that well here at St. Wenceslas. We have 12 charities of the month. We have 7 other charities that come in, and I am always amazed, humbled over how we respond. I mentioned before, we're the most generous parish. When we include everything we do, giving away to charity and those in need, we give away over $500,000 every year. That is a tremendous amount of money. That also is about 10% of our budget. We are giving a tithe away. And we're making a difference. I'm always afraid of donor fatigue, where people say too much. But I also know people give to what they believe in. And if they don't like the cause or it's not important to them, they don't give. But we continue to have incredible generous donations. It was a couple years ago that our missionary co-op came, and I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't understand a word he ever said. And I took him out to dinner, still didn't understand a word he was saying. It was so hard. And his accent was so heavy, and I didn't mean to be mean, I just didn't understand what he was saying. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be terrible in the collection. Almost $20,000. One of our largest collections for missionary co-op. We do very well reaching out and helping in that way. But there's other fasts that Isaiah is asking us to do. Fast from resentment. And we all have resentments. People hurt us. People betray us. People take advantage of us. It's natural to hold a grudge. But it's so hard to let God in when you're holding a grudge. Freeing people who are bound unjustly. There's such a phenomenon of people who COVID has shut down. We have people in the nursing homes that haven't seen their loved ones for so long. We're trying in St. Wenceslas to try to do something about that. We're actually placing phone calls to everybody over 80 years of age in our parish. That sounds like something nice. There's over 200 people over the age of 80 in this parish. It's very hard to reach out, but they deserve to hear. They deserve to know one's caring about them. They deserve to know that they're still important and not forgotten. With people in the nursing home, a card, a letter. Even people you don't know, call us. We'll give you the names. There's so many ways that we can break the fast of people bound unjustly because they are trapped in that nursing home, often in their own room if they're in shutdown. And it's so difficult for them. And it's difficult for you, for your loved ones, your grandmothers, your mothers, maybe siblings. That's the toll that COVID has had on us, to realize the effect COVID has changed our lives in so many ways. I think God understands COVID better than we believe he does. And I think he understands our reaction to COVID better than we think he does. And I think he's given us grace to get through COVID better than we think he does. You know, we're coming to hopefully the end. We have vaccines, the numbers are falling. Hopefully we can get back to a quasi-normal existence, whatever that's going to be. But there's so many people that have been held prison because they're terrified of COVID, because their pre-existing conditions mean they would die if they got it. To be able to lighten that load a little bit, to be able to help them, to be able to know the freedom of what it is to be God's children. And Isaiah gave some really big challenges. Setting free the oppressed, breaking every yoke. There's a lot of people whose memories hold them captive. And it's so heavy. Things they regret, things they're ashamed of, things that they don't want to tell anybody about. They're so embarrassed. And that limits them. That limits them because they can't live in the freedom of God's children. Whenever you go to reconciliation, there's two parts to it. There's an objective and a subjective. The objective is God loves you and will forgive you no matter what. The subjective is we have to forgive ourselves. That's a big challenge. In fact, I may have mentioned it before, but one of the hardest penance I can give somebody, and I had to do it every year for a month, or every day for a month, so I know how heavy that can be, is I'll ask them to just take a couple days and pray two prayers. One, they believe that God loves them. That's not hard. Two, believe that they're worthy of that love, that they're lovable. If you haven't forgiven yourself for the past, that can be sheer hell. But if you haven't forgiven yourself for the past and you're able to achieve it, you'll feel God's love in a way you never did before. And there's a lot of people we're going to meet that just feel God cannot love them because of the things they've done. And that's a sad way to lead your life, knowing that we do celebrate a God of love. Reach out and lift the load of people carrying too heavy a yoke. Free them from the hell they live in or the prisons they encounter. Help them, those with low self-esteem who don't feel God can love them. Those in the fringes. Smile, make a friend of them, bring them into the crowd. New people to the parish, help them feel welcome. There's so many ways we can achieve the fast Isaiah is talking about. Because Isaiah does say, yes, there's a time for a fast of denying ourselves, but there's a greater fast we're called to do. I wish you a happy Lent.